You're listening to Pitch Perfect, the podcast, not the movie, except now, here, in our third season, you are listening to Pitch Perfect, the movie, not the podcast, except it is the podcast about the movie, now, for the first time ever in our third season. I'm your host, Nate, and I'm joined by my co-host, Josh, and a special guest, our friend Sonny, who has been referenced, I think, once on this podcast before, because we've talked about Bad Movie Club.
Yes. Hello, I'm Josh. Say hello, Sonny.
No. Yes. Hi.
Okay, great. Sonny's here. You forgot to do the bit where I was in a movie.
I got bogged down in the bit about the title of the season, so I figured I'd just let that one go for this first episode of this third season.
Yeah, no, we're going to get real meta this episode. It's going to be real fun. So, Sonny, welcome. Appreciate having you here.
This is a podcast, which is like a radio show, except less people listen to it.
Anyway, now let me do a thing. It is claimed that after a lecture, William James was accosted by a little old lady, offering up a seemingly ridiculous counter-theory to his proposal that the Earth revolves around the sun. That instead, the Earth moved through the cosmos on the back of a giant turtle. In turn, James asked, if your theory is correct, what does this turtle stand on? She replied, you're a very clever man, Mr. James, but it is simple. The first turtle stands on the back of a second larger turtle, which stands directly under him. And just like an aca cascade of turtles, so too does Pitch Perfect, the podcast, not the movie. Currently rests its focus on Pitch Perfect, the movie, not the podcast. Welcome to Pitch Perfect, the podcast, not the movie. Does Pitch Perfect, the movie, not the podcast. Where my co-host and I and our guest talk about the films contained within our namesake movie franchise, Pitch Perfect, and how things maybe could continue down a better road in the future.
Yes. This podcast
You really nailed that one.
is good. It's a good podcast.
Tell us about this podcast, Nate, what we do and how we do it. Just in case someone's tuning in for the first time.
That's a mistake. Every season, we pick a category of films. We watch a survey of, or perhaps all of the films in that category. We learn what we can from them about what's essential and what's not. And we use that knowledge at the end of the season to pitch the perfect movie of said category. For this season, we are covering the Pitch Perfect franchise, which consists of 3 films. We've watched the first one for this episode, and after we watch the other 2, we will pitch the perfect Pitch Perfect movie. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, and to start us off, we brought in a special expert. Nate and I have had our difficulties because we are 2 male people, and we need to bring someone who is a lady to help us out with this, and that's why Sonny's here, because she's a lady. And
I thought
she likes the movie.
Brought in Sonny because she liked the movie.
Oh.
It's probably both.
Probably.
I am the omni person and can see from all perspectives, except from the perspective of a person who's seen a movie that I haven't seen. Because I hadn't seen this movie before we went to watch it, even though I named this podcast after this movie.
Do you want to give us a summary of this movie, Nate, so we can know what we're doing?
Sure. So, Anna Kendrick plays Becca, who is an aspiring DJ who goes to college. Even though she doesn't want to go to college, she wants to go to LA to be either a music producer or a radio DJ, or both. I guess both. I guess she wants to be like DJ Drama. Anyway,
but not DJ Khaled.
No, not DJ Khaled, because she does actually make music. Anyway, at the same time, there's like a failing a cappella group called the Barden Bellas at her school, and she's initially like very antisocial, and then she's pushed into social activities by her dad, who is a professor, and in a honestly kind of Weinsteinian shower scene, she's recruited into this a cappella group, and then the rest of the movie basically sort of follows their path through the college a cappella competition circuit, as well as her budding romance with a character whose name I definitely remember, who is a dude who's on the competing dude a cappella group, the Troublemakers. What is that character's name? Is it Justin?
Close. That's the tone-deaf Justin you're thinking about. No, it's Jesse.
It's Jesse.
I didn't even remember that, and I've seen this movie more than once.
Yeah, so they have their competitions. There's a struggle because the leader of the a cappella group, Aubrey, she is the cause of their downfall because she dramatically puked during their last performance before this school year, but then is like super set in her ways of performing the same song over and over again. But Becca's got wild ideas about mashups and medleys, and they butt heads, and they lose a bunch of competitions, then they win. And that's the movie, basically.
You're not wrong.
I mean, that's it, right? That's all of it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I guess that's the movie. Podcast over. See you guys
What
later.
would you add besides that the shower scene's the best scene in the whole movie?
The shower scene is really wild. And is a very strange way to get your main character recruited onto the team they're on.
Yeah.
But I respect them from going for it.
That's strange because, like, I think in singing shows and stuff, it's actually pretty common that, like, someone's in the bathroom and they hear someone singing and then it's like, oh, well, they have to be on my team now.
Yeah, I get that. It's like, I get the idea of it's like singing in the shower. She's like unguarded in that moment. She's literally naked. But they really lean into the, like, she's looking at her naked part of the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know anything about acapella groups, but I assume it's kind of like sports and after you hit the showers, right?
Yeah, you work up a sweat singing without instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're dancing too.
That's true, they are also dancing. But a lot of their dancing is just kind of like, they lean forward and move their shoulders, and then they stand up and they lean in the other direction and move their shoulders.
Yeah, that's what dancing is, Nate.
Is that dancing?
That's how I rock the club.
Oh, okay, a lot of shoulder leaning.
Dancing is all shoulders and elbows, and if you don't get that, you don't know how to dance.
That's why the Funky Chicken's the ultimate dance, right?
Exactly. But before we get further in this movie, maybe we should just talk to our guest a little bit more, because it's really great to have you here, Sonny. And can you tell us a little bit about your interest in Pitch Perfect, the series?
Well, I mean, I just watched it because Anna Kendrick was in it,
Mm.
but acapella stuff is awesome, and I'm probably the only one here that likes it.
Yes, you are. I think I can speak. Speaking for me, I can say yeah, you are.
Yeah, mostly.
I didn't hate the singing in this movie. I'm not like, this is not my jam. And when it started, I was
It's not
like,
your lady jam?
it's not my lady jam, and I don't have a toner for this music. But when it started, I was like, oh no, is this gonna be miserable? Am I committed to 3? And no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's 3 movies. We watched 8 Pauly Shore movies?
That was the thing watching this, where I'm like, to jump ahead a little bit, I'd probably give this movie like a 7 out of 10. But I had to keep reminding myself, like, this is a 7 out of 10. This is not a 10 out of 10, because all I could think about was the fucking Pauly Shore movies while we were watching this. And I was like, this is so good. It's crazy that movies can be this good. And then I'm like, wait, it's like pretty good.
Yes, for the first time ever, Pitch Perfect is reviewing movies that are good in a general sense.
Is this the best movie we've done?
I rated Slam Dunk Ernest a 7, and I'm going to rate this movie a 7, so I kind of feel like it's on par. But I can definitely agree that Slam Dunk Ernest is not a better movie than this.
I probably enjoyed Slam Dunk Ernest, Ernest Goes to Jail, and Ernest Goes to Camp more than... maybe not Ernest Goes to Camp. But I probably enjoyed those 2 more than this. But this is definitely a better movie than those. Like, in terms of, like, filmmaking and, like, plot structure.
Yeah.
And, like, characters.
I will say it's weird that in the movie they're like, they have a character be like, yeah, I don't like movies, they all do this, they all end the same way, the guy gets with the girl, whatever. And then they just, like, do that.
Yeah, well, I guess they're trying to be like, that's good. Because she does come around on it.
Yeah, like, it does, like,
true.
have that whole thing where it's like, no, that's good, actually.
The thing that's weird to me is that the movie they focus on for that is The Breakfast Club, which is not a movie that ends like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a movie that ends with, like, an affirmation of these characters' like, identity and relationship, but it's not like, the guy does not get the girl in the end of The Breakfast Club. That's not what that movie's about.
It's not what the movie's about, but it does happen.
I guess.
I thought
Twice.
it was weird that she was crying.
I don't blame anybody for crying at the end of Breakfast Club. I don't know if I've ever done it per se.
I don't think Nate can ever comment on anybody crying at a movie, ever.
No, I cry all the time. I cry at everything. Did I cry during the Ernest season? Probably.
Yes, you started crying when we were pitching the perfect Ernest movie.
Oh, I did do that. Dude, I cry on every fucking podcast.
But yeah, okay, so we should talk ratings. I mean, if we're talking about the best movie of this podcast, I feel like it is so far, even though we're all giving it a 7. As much as I like Encino Man, it's definitely better than Encino Man.
Oh, it's definitely better than Encino Man. Encino Man is a very likable movie, but it is not a particularly good movie.
No. So yeah, I feel this movie was a 7. It is a very enjoyable movie. It does have like some predictable elements, some noticeable flaws, but Anna Kendrick's very charming. She's a good lead.
Yeah, she's very good in this.
Rebel Wilson, also very charming and good lead.
She does up, like, I feel like she can be too much a lot of the time. I feel like she's got that kind of like the Will Ferrell problem, where it's like sometimes they just like let the camera go too long and let her riff too much.
Yeah.
And I feel like this toes up to the line. I don't think she really goes over in this.
There's one scene in particular that I feel goes over, but I think she's mostly great.
Yeah, I liked her in this.
I don't think it's like...
It's weird how often she said Jew.
That's my problem.
Yeah, okay. I totally didn't... We're, like, jumbling around the format of this podcast, but, like, there's a part where she is wearing, like, a high ponytail. This movie is from, like, 2012, right?
Something like that.
Yes?
Yeah. This is a very, like, 2010s, like, aesthetic movie. Everybody's wearing, like, brightly colored stripes and, like, lime green sneakers. There's a guy with a little shady fedora in the background of like a bunch of scenes, and so she's wearing like that kind of like high ponytail with like long in the back and like maybe a bump it kind of look. And there's a joke where she calls it an Orthodox Jew ponytail, but then just describes a mullet.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that joke at all.
Yeah, I didn't get that even a little
The
bit.
only part of the joke that made sense is that she had those two like hairs like going down, framing her face. That kind of like is like the
Like a rabbi?
like a rabbi. That's it. That's the only part of the joke.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Because they didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just did the mullet business in the front, party in the back thing to describe her ponytail, and somehow that made it an Orthodox Jew mullet.
Anyway,
Or ponytail.
I think this movie's very enjoyable, but I don't think it's higher than a 7. But Sonny, how did you feel? What would you rate this out of 10 or any random rating scale?
Yeah, don't feel constrained by base 10.
I mean, it has Anna Kendrick in it.
This is true.
So it's kind of the perfect movie.
Okay. So, Anna Kendrick out of Anna Kendrick.
It's an Anna out of Kendrick.
Okay, fair enough. That's
also how I feel about Mr. Right.
I haven't seen that movie. That's the one with, what's his name? That one actor from Moon.
Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell.
I've never seen that one either. I believe that movie
like crazy.
is written by notorious creepazoid Max Landis, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
This movie also has a notorious creepazoid in it, briefly, in Harmar Superstar.
Yeah. Bill Cosby has a cameo.
Bill
Weirdly enough.
The Cos shows up. He gets in a fight with Kevin Costner over who gets to be the Cos.
No, it does not happen. Okay, so we have rated this movie. We have summarized it. I guess this is the point where we're talking about high and low points. So do you guys want to start off high or swing low, Sweet Chariot, swing low?
Well, I already said the shower scene was the best scene in the movie.
Yeah, let's do high.
Shower scene's pretty great. I appreciate that it wasn't, like, sexual.
It definitely was, though. What are you talking about?
Was.
Like, there wasn't, like, any, like, actual, like, nudity or anything.
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, I guess they don't show, like, full frontal nudity.
Them not showing nudity doesn't make it not sexual.
But, like, there's definitely, like... The joke is definitely that it's, like, they're looking at each other's junk.
Sure, but that's more played for comedy than...
Yeah, I guess it's not. I guess it's not supposed to be titillating. It's not
That's
like
what
it's.
I'm saying.
It's not like it's Caged Heat or Porky's or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, but sexy and sexual are different things.
Okay.
It's not objectifying. Is that what we're going for?
That is what I was going for.
I can agree with that, I think.
There's nothing objectifying about it. They're both nude, but it's played for comedy, and it works.
How come that guy shows up and just like...
So, they set that up. When I first saw
Isn't
this
she,
movie,
like, fucking the guy in the shower before
Yes.
Anna Kendrick shows
Oh,
up?
is that what happened?
Because they show, like, their feet together.
Yes. So when I first watched this movie, this is like my maybe third time watching this movie. When I first watched this movie, I was like, where'd that guy come from? It's just a weird bit. And then this time, I saw they open it up with, like, the feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that.
So, what is the name of the girl that does this? That isn't Anna Kendrick.
Character is named...
Chloe.
Yeah.
Chloe.
Played by Brittany Snow. She's with a dude in her shower, presumably fucking. Or just showering together. She hears Anna Kendrick's character, Becca, singing Titanium?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. She's like, you know Titanium?
No, you know David Guetta?
Yeah, you know David Guetta?
You know popularized music icon David Guetta?
We all know famous Belgian producer David Guetta. He's kind of like the poor man's Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Except that's Deadmau5.
So Chloe gets all excited and wants Becca to join the Bard and Bellas, but does so in a way that she is completely naked the whole time because she's very confident about her own body. And Becca is not confident and very upset about this whole situation.
She's not confident. She's just uncomfortable getting creeped on. The reason I said it was arguably Weinsteinian is because she is like, I'm not going to leave until you sing the song again. Standing like nude in front of her, staring at her nude. And it's very intense. I mean, that's the joke. But that does happen in the scene. But when I watched it, just now with the two of you. I noticed I have a pen now, and I'm gesturing very authoritatively at the both of them, which feels really good. When I watched it, I noticed immediately the feet, the two pairs of feet. Mm-hmm. That doesn't say anything about me. Don't read into that.
When you were walking in the shower, the footsteps next to yours, that's when Jesus was there.
That's when David Guetta was carrying you. When she's singing right before Chloe approaches her, I thought to myself, aren't there two people fucking in here? And then she shows up, and I was like, oh, okay. My favorite scene is the big puke scene towards the end of the movie. It's kind of like, here's the thing. What a movie really needs is like yin and yang, like contrast, darkness and light.
Nudity, puking.
Like Star Wars opens with Vader, and then, you get Luke Skywalker, he's the light, he's under the sun. This is kind of that in this movie. You have the shower scene, clean, pure, nude. You have the puke scene, dirty, gross, violent, conflict, fully clothed. And that's, what I'm into, is puking in a movie. Because I think puking's very funny.
Nate, this is not a podcast to reveal your fetishes on.
It's too late. No, but there's like the big, it's basically a sports movie, right?
Yeah.
Structurally. So like it has like the big like team dissolution blow up part. Mm. But that is sparked by Aubrey basically forcing herself to puke again and then puking all over the rehearsal space and it descending into a gross brawl with the puke as this kind of awful background element, and I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, her whole arc is that she was constantly uptight and then she's forced to choke down her puking problem that she has, and then as part of like amidst of a fight of like everybody getting upset at her for ruining everything, she's like, I won't choke it down anymore, and then she just pukes up a small-sized pool's worth of vomit that feels like she should immediately be dehydrated.
I'm sorry to all listeners. I'm about to talk about the consistency of the puke. They went thin. Interesting choice, aesthetically. Not chunky. Very thin, smooth, kind of like tomato soup type of consistency.
Well, sure. It's not like she was eating like Taco Bell beforehand.
I'm just saying.
She might have been.
Might have been.
It's a filmmaking choice, whether you go chunky or smooth on your cinematic puke. And they went smooth, which I think is interesting.
You wanted them to go, what, more extra smooth?
Oh, it's not a critique. It's just an observation.
Okay. It looked...
Chunky is grosser. I think they played it right by going smooth.
It looked awful.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general. It had like brown snow slush look to it, but also like a tinge of like the wrong unnatural brown, like food color.
I think it was just blended vegetable soup.
Probably.
Every time there's something like this in a movie, I always try to figure out what it is. Not just puke, but like anything like that. Like I'm always really fascinated by like in Alien when the android bleeds and it's the white blood. Mm. That is, I think it's just water and cornstarch, or it might just be water with like a coloring.
I thought it was legit milk.
It's milk in Aliens, which got Lance Henriksen sick because it spoiled under the studio lights.
Oh god, that's awful. That is awful. Poor Lance Henriksen.
Yeah, the guy's committed, though. He stuck through it. And then they fucking kill him off. In the beginning of the next one, they pull an Ewok Battle for Endor on my boy.
Okay. Well, we're not here to talk about Aliens or Ewoks Battle for Endor.
Yeah, we'll save that for our Ewok season where we pitch the perfect Ewok movie.
What would we even call that?
Ewok the House.
So pitch perfect.
Pitch perfect. Josh, give us a high point. Sonny and I have both given high points.
One of my high points for this movie that I really enjoyed and I've actually rewatched on YouTube a bunch is the Riff Off. I like the Riff Off. I think the Riff Off is a nice, fun bit of the movie where Becca starts to like really feel her vibe of like jumping into songs and having a good time. And it feels just very fun and free-flowing. They do a bunch of enjoyable songs. It has weird rules and it's not explained clearly enough.
I think
but it's still fun.
I think they explain it fine. They just don't explain it before they start doing it.
Yeah, they do like all round, and then she's like, hold on, how does this work? And then they explain it, which I think is fine. I like that part too. One of the things I said when we were getting to the end of watching the movie was that, like, while I did like this, the thing that I kept thinking was I wish this was more like Speed Racer. And I know what you're saying, dear listener. Don't you probably say that about every movie? And the answer is yes. But I was especially thinking about this. And that's like the most Speed Racer-y part of the movie, where it's like an underground a cappella singing battle in like a drained pool, and there's like a guy with a weird little hand projector who's like projecting a wheel on the wall that's like giving them the categories. I wish they had gone wilder with that. I wish there were like projectors all over it or something, but like that's neither here nor there. That's critiquing the movie that doesn't exist.
Yeah, let's critique the movie that exists, Nate.
Which is Pitch Perfect, the movie, not the podcast. But yeah, I agree. I like that scene too.
Okay, any other high points?
There's a part where there's a washed up, like, graduated a cappella group. That is where Harmar Superstar shows up. But also Donald Faison and Joe Latruzio and a guy I don't know are also there. But specifically, there's a part where Joe Latruzio yells, "Fat Amy, kick me in the balls."
Yes.
Which I thought was really funny.
I really like the bit with Elizabeth Banks and what's his name, the guy that's like in everything.
Oh, John Michael Higgins?
Yeah, John Michael Higgins, where they're like the commentators on each competition, and I think they have really funny bits every time.
Yeah, they're really funny. They're super mean.
Yeah, that was something I brought up while we were watching. Why were they commentating live over the singing?
Yeah, they have like you can hear in the sound engineering. They're clearly supposed to be coming through the PA. They're commentating while people are singing. It's like two people in a booth like it's a wrestling match. Which, again, it's bonkers. I don't understand why they're doing it. I like that because that is pushing it more into the Speed Racer. Sort of like, this is, like, everything is about a cappella. Like, they have to, like, commentate it because people are just, like, that wild for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there as a narrative device, right? Because they're there to land context and to, like, set the stakes and stuff.
Yeah, they're also kind of like judges.
No, there was judges.
There are judges, but
they show up to, like, kick out the high school kid.
They do. That's weird. But they show judges because they show people... I thought this, too. They show people, like, sitting down and they have, like, notebooks and pens. And I was like, oh, there's judges.
Like, a judge's table.
It's weird that the judges haven't been, like, characters yet.
But why would the commentators... of all people, be the ones to be like,
why
hey,
is
you
there
can't...
commentators commentating a singing competition?
Yeah, okay. But it's a good bit, and I like it.
Yeah,
regardless of its
hilarious.
logistical nonsense.
They're
I like
hilarious
it a lot.
and amazing, and it's amazing that they got commentators for a singing competition. Like, that's so funny.
And Elizabeth Banks does such a good job that they let her direct the next movie.
Also, she has they have, like, this best joke that I'm going to talk about. Where she gets hot over the troublemakers, and she's like, "I gotta freshen up downtown." And then John Michael Higgins says, "Can I help?" And it is the best joke.
Yeah, they were very funny.
And my last one is just the finale song. I like the finale song.
The finale song is good.
I think it's a good mashup, and it's very enjoyable.
I mean, it's also like I would never listen to it on my own. It's very like we were watching this, and I was like, "Is this pre or post Glee?" Because it's like very like that kind of vibe. You know, like, these, like, 2010s pop songs that no one remembers any of. And they're all, like, mashed up and everybody's shuffling their shoulders.
Been still happening at the time.
Probably.
But I think it was, like, at the point where the show was, like, horrible. Like, it started off as kind of a decent show. If you're into that stuff.
I started watching Glee, like, as it was premiering, only because it had Stephen Tobolowsky in it. And he's, like, barely in it. He's the old music teacher who gets kicked out in the beginning of the show.
Like one episode.
He shows up more.
He has, like, an arc in the first season where he's, like, a secondary antagonist after Jane Lynch.
Right.
And then I think he's just gone.
No, he shows up again.
Does he? Sure. I think I maybe stopped watching, like, into the second season.
I think
the first two seasons are the only ones that, like, actually are watchable.
Fair enough. I know it gets pretty bad.
It gets really bad.
Yeah.
You hate Ryan Murphy, though, right,
but
Josh?
Those first two seasons, Glee is fucking bonkers.
I hate Ryan Murphy. I will go on record with that. He's not allowed on this podcast.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy. You can't come on here. Even when we do our season on fucking American Crime Story.
We will not.
I will also go to the mat, though.
Also, more like American Court Stories.
I like Scream Queens, and I do wish that Adam Devine's character, Bumper Allen, was more like the jock character in Scream Queens. They do a couple jokes with him as like a weird, douchey college guy, but he's really not in that much of the movie, and then he just kind of disappears by the time the final climax is happening.
Yeah. They kind of fixed that in the second movie.
Yeah, you've been intoning that he's like back, and like I'm like, what is gonna happen? Like, is he gonna be like the Terminator? Like, what is gonna happen with him in the next movie?
Anyway, do you have any other high points, Sonny? Or should we move on to low?
I got a high point if Sunny doesn't have one.
Good to yours.
I really like the initiation ritual when they join the groups. It's like they have to symbolically drink the blood of the prior Bellas. And again, that pushes it into the weird like anime Speed Racer thing where it's like they're having like a mystical a cappella initiation ritual.
Yeah, that scene doesn't last long, but it is a nice preview of what the movie could have been.
That would be wild. Acapella Secret Society.
You made a comment earlier in the movie when she was like when Becca was like looking around for an extracurricular activity to join from like all the different clubs, that they all should have been singing.
Yes, I think that every group should have also been an acapella group. I feel like a big thing this movie was missing was like other acapella groups as antagonists. They should have like done some like war. There's like one taste of it when they go to, I think it's the semifinals. No, it can't be. Because the semifinals is the one where they lose and then they are told that they won because the one kid was secretly in high school.
Yeah.
But before that, there's a competition where there's a group called Sockapella who perform with sock puppets, who I like a lot, but I like puppets. This is a known thing on this podcast.
I don't think it is.
We've never talked about my love of puppets. I love puppets. And Muppets. And I wish that there was more like Warriors type shit with like themed acapella groups, like there's one that only does songs about baseball or something, like as like minor antagonists who could get knocked down as they're rising up through the ranks. I feel like there was a good opportunity. If they made every club secretly awesome acapella group, then you could have like the AV club acapella group and they sing She Blinded Me with Science and they have like laser pointers. Would have been good.
It might have been good. It might have been too much. I don't know.
Be pretty.
So it sounds like that's it for High Point?
You know what? I like the audition scene.
Okay.
The audition scene
with
is
the Kelly Clarkson song?
Yeah. I mean, Anna Kendrick's audition was a weak audition for a singing group. But
they loved it.
Yeah, I don't really, I don't know. She just, sang the easiest, it's not that difficult of a thing that she sang.
Tapped a cup around a bunch and it became a meme.
Not that it was bad or anything.
The audition scene has the best editing in the movie.
Yeah.
Where they're all performing the same song and it's cutting all between them and they're building a performance out of what are supposed to be separate individual performances.
Right. Now, logistically, that makes sense for a tryout because you want to compare everybody to everybody else. However, multiple teams are there to recruit, so it's weird that they're all doing the same song for different teams. Also, it's very weird to think about that not edited and just sitting there for 4 hours listening to different renditions of the same song.
Yeah, that
where it's all just coming from their mouth.
It sounds like we're already.
That's a lot of singing auditions, though. You'll get immediately disqualified in their minds a lot of the time just for singing a certain song because they heard that song 50 times that day.
Ooh, yeah. But the whole point of this was that sing this one song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It wasn't everybody's coming in with the same song. It's this is the song we want.
Well, I imagine some auditions would be set up like that, though, because you want to...
I don't know how...
It sounds awful to sit through.
I don't know how it goes for a cappella groups, but I know that for musicals and stuff, generally the way it goes is there's one thing everybody has to sing, and then you're supposed to prepare a piece on your own.
Yeah.
So that covers high points. Do we want to pick a collective high point?
Sure. What do we think the collective high point is?
My vote is for the Riff Off.
But we're not going to be able to agree.
How does that even work?
Because normally it's just the two of us, and then if we don't agree, we spin a wheel.
I mean, we can always spin a 3-sided wheel.
But we know, for me it's puke scene. For you it's the shower scene, and for you it's the Riff Off. So
I'm not going to side with you in the puke scene.
Are you going to side with Sunny on the shower scene?
I might.
If you side with Sunny on the shower scene, that's fine with me, and we can put the shower scene as the high point.
What, are we writing this down? This
Yes.
is a podcast.
Yeah, no, we actually keep an ongoing high point, low point for the series because we compare them over movies.
Okay.
As to choose what is the highest point of the series and then somehow find a way to incorporate that in our final pitch.
There's something like it, or at least use it as a guiding light.
Oh, then, yeah, my pitch would obviously be the shower scene. It's easily the shower scene.
I'm not going to concede on the puke scene. Are you willing to concede on the shower scene? Or do we spin a wheel with 3 options?
I think we spin a wheel with 3 options.
Okay.
We have a guest.
It's
Fourth guest.
Wheel Forte is here.
Okay, Wheel Forte.
McGruber himself, Wheel Forte, is here to decide which one of these is going to be the high point. He agrees with me. It's a puke scene.
Fuck. Okay, well, I guess somehow the puke scene is the high point. Including the part where the girl whose whole bit is that she's quiet all the time and then she becomes a beatboxer, Lily, falls into the puke and starts making a puke angel.
I ruined that bit by turning on the subtitles. Not the puke angel, her whispering bit I ruined by turning on the subtitles.
Which leads us directly into low points, because that's my low point. But I guess it doesn't.
The puke angel is your low point.
It's one of my low points. I hated that. It was so gross.
Oh, and I had that bad. I mean, it was gross and I hated it, but it's not like that.
But you just agreed
I would
with
not
me.
put it as a low point of the movie.
I had a high point I forgot.
Oh, well, we're already past
Wait,
it.
but maybe it went... Well, okay. There's a
Why
part
did
where...
you
Just say it, but like it's not gonna...
Okay.
We already did the wheel.
It's the part where they're recruiting people at the activities fair, and somebody says, "You said my boobs look like baloney."
Oh yeah, Baloney Barb.
That was
Where the whole bit is that
very
she's
good.
just wearing these black discs over her nipples, and you can see it through her
Yeah,
shirt.
she's got huge baloney nipples.
Awful.
Yeah, but it made me laugh. Here's my worst point: is all of the aca blank jokes. Aca people was probably the best one, but there's just like, did they say aca awkward?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
also,
say
like,
Aka awkward.
Aka skews me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
It's like the catchphrase.
it's like if you watch like My Little Pony and they keep saying every pony. It's like that. I'm not a fan of that bit. Unless they had made it, I kind of wish they had made it like more tortured, maybe, or something. It just was not working for me, and they keep doing that joke over and over again.
Yeah, not a fan of that bit either.
Would you like it better if they said Aka awkward?
Waka? Waka Waka? What if they did Waka Waka?
What if Waka Flocka Flame had a cameo in the movie and they performed to no hands?
Okay. Any other low points?
You got a low point, Sonny?
I didn't really think about that.
Well, I could say one while you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
I will say it was refreshing to watch this movie compared to some of the other ones and not be inundated with like low points and like awful flopped jokes and like
No one
racist.
said the N-word. No one was in brownface.
No one paid anyone to let them say the N-word like in Pauly Shore is Dead.
My low point is Fat Amy going further on the Jew bit when they were at the extracurricular fair. Is that the right way to say it?
It's activities fair.
Activities fair, thank you, where they were looking around for like stuff to do, and Becca went to a thing that said DJ on it, but it was a thing for deaf Jews.
Yeah.
And then Fat Amy was like hyping up the bit a lot by talking to them and saying that they suck, and then also they can have her number.
Yeah, also
I just
there's-
didn't like the deaf Jews bit.
Table had a bunch of dreidels on it.
Yeah.
Also, one of
Weird
the guys behind that counter looked like exactly like my cousin,
Is your
and
cousin
that was distracting to me.
is your cousin a deaf Jew?
No, he can hear and he's Hispanic. How do we feel about the Fat Amy thing? We keep calling her Fat Amy. For people who haven't seen the movie, Rebel Wilson's character introduces herself as Fat Amy, and the explanation is so that skinny bitches can't call me that behind my back. How do we feel about that bit of her being Fat Amy?
I think it's
I
fine.
mean,
think it's
I
fine,
don't think that was a bit.
What are they? I guess.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think it was funny when we find out at the end when they're like revealing things they don't know about each other. Her name's
That
Fat
was
Patricia.
the bit.
That-
yeah,
yes.
The Fat Patricia was the bit.
Fat Patricia is a good bit. Okay.
Yeah. You actually made a joke while we were watching that like she feels more confident and she should call herself Fat Amelia. It's kind of like your joke.
Yeah, it's pretty close. As far as the low point, there's the part where she gets Bumper Allen, Adam Devine's character. It's sort of the main antagonist of the movie. Mm-hmm. Throws a burrito at her while she's filling up the gas tank for their bus. Which is like fine in and of itself, and she reacts like she's been shot, which is like kind of funny. But then the one black character runs out and says they shot my homie and like cradles her, and I feel like that was maybe a little too far.
Yeah, that was bad. I was not a fan of that.
Also, the fact that it worked and it made her stop filling up the gas and sabotage them at least slightly. It's because it's such
But
a
it
dumb plan.
It didn't even.
It wasn't even a plan.
There wasn't a plan. He was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna throw this at her."
He yells
Because-
sabotage when he
Oh,
throws
that's true.
it.
But then they go pick her up. They go pick him up.
They could go pick him up.
I think it was just meant to like get
why does
food
he-
on her clothes.
Why does he? Is he just trying to dirty her uniform? Is that why he yells sabotage?
I
Yes.
guess. I don't know.
I think he's just a dick and would just like, here's a dumb thing and here it is, and it wasn't like a plan.
But he yells. The thing that's fucking me up is he yells sabotage.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like a dumb
It's a
boy
Beastie
thing to
Boys
me.
reference.
They should have played it, and he should have become the captain of the Starship Enterprise.
Ah yes, oldies. I love oldies. Songs from 1,000 years ago.
Dude, but at least it's you. You should not have indulged me and responded to me bringing up Star Trek. But it is better than what happens in the show where it's like, they all listen to, like, Chopin. Like, music that's from, like, over 100 years ago now.
Yeah.
They're, like, listening to that shit.
And he does, like, he goes, like, the 16th century.
Yeah. They're all obsessed with stuff that's, like, old to now. That's one of the weirdest things about Star Trek.
There's, like, nothing in between, yeah. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Star Trek, because Nate will be here forever.
No, we're not allowed. It's banned from this podcast.
Sunny, have you thought of a low point?
Well, so, like, I don't like how they started off as, like, this female group doing female songs or whatever. And then, like, when they lose the thing and then they get their magic second chance, they're like, all right, well, I guess we can just forget about that. But, like, they were just singing old songs. They didn't need to, they just needed to sing a new song.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that's weird, especially because they make a point, like, when they're establishing what songs they perform early on. It's not just, like, we play old songs. She's specifically, like, we play songs by women.
Yeah, and then they just never mention that again, and it doesn't matter when they just switch off of that.
Was it ever, like, a thing? Was it, like, were they, like, did they ever, like, I know they do it, right? But would they ever say, like, we only do songs by women?
Yeah, they specifically said that, yeah.
Okay. When they're recruiting her, they say that, and then don't bring it up again in the movie for some reason.
Weird, because I totally spaced on that.
And then they don't bring
kind of bring it up again. Like, they have, what's his name, Bumper, say, he's like, oh, what estrogen-filled bullshitty, or whatever the fuck he says. And,
women are bad.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
That was my best Adam Devine accent.
I hope that's great. I was like, am I watching Jexy?
Women are bad. I love my phone. I'm Adam Devine.
Honestly, for what seems like a girl movie, it didn't feel very girl empowering to me, at least.
I can totally get that. She should have needed an injection of girl power.
I can agree with that. Okay, that's all our low points. Do we want to pick a low point?
What do you think is the low point, Josh?
Throw up Angel.
No.
No.
Simultaneously the worst and the best thing.
I agree with Sunny. I think them abandoning the, like, sticking to songs by women thing and not even really acknowledging it is the low point for me. It feels like such a it's such a weird, like
they set it up.
Yeah. It's like in a movie that I think is like relatively tight from a writing perspective, that's like a total weird loose end that kind of like, I don't get it. I think that's the low point.
Okay. I can agree with that. That seems fair. So that'll be our low point. Abandoning, let's say, girl power elements or singing only songs by girl artists.
Yeah, sure.
That is high point, low point. Next thing, let's take a break from all this before we get into the essentials. Let's relax and all jump into a jacuzzi of sorts, or
just
maybe
like the treble makers in this. Oh, we didn't mention that the boy group are called the treble makers.
We did mention that a bunch.
Did mention it?
I zoned it out completely.
You said it!
I said it?
In the recap.
My brain is melting.
We're going to jump to the bubble bath, where we're going to...
I could have sworn you were going to say hot tub time machine.
Hot tub time machine. But we're going to scrub ourselves of all the baffling elements of this movie and talk about them and get them out of our brains. Who wants to start us off? Because I can.
I feel like we've done a lot of them already.
Yes.
If you have something we haven't mentioned, I'm happy to hear it.
So there's this character that Nate will claim doesn't exist, called Benji, who is the roommate to Jesse.
No, he exists. They just look exactly the same.
The actors, I don't think they look that similar.
And he disappears from the movie for like most of the movie.
His whole thing is that he's a nerd and he's into magic.
And Star Wars.
But do you know why he's into magic?
Because he saw The Prestige.
No. It's specifically
because
explained
he
in this
saw an a cappella group sing.
Yeah, he saw an a cappella group.
What?
The Troublemakers specifically sing a song that involved illusions
in a mall. They saw
at a mall, and he got obsessed with it, and that's why he's into magic now.
But he's like a traditional. He wears like a cape and has like doves. He's like a regular type of magician guy.
Yeah.
Yep. But he got it from an a cappella group, my dude.
So weird. That's really weird. I didn't pick up on that at all. That character made like no impression on me, and also every time he was on screen, all I could think about is how much he looks like the other guy.
Also, when he got into the Troublemakers finally, they give him a single solo of like magic.
Yeah. They gave him a solo when he joined the group. Like what?
They recruit him to replace their leader rather than promoting someone within.
I think they promoted Jesse to be the leader because he like had a solo.
Well, they're the same guy, so.
Anyway.
What happens with him in the movie?
He's a nerd. He's on the sidelines. He's the guy who notices that the one of the people on the winning team in the semifinals was actually in high school. And then after Bumper leaves to sing backup for John Mayer, he joins and sings a solo about magic. But he doesn't do any magic in that sequence, as far as I can remember.
No, he just says, I got the magic in me.
Yeah.
Nate, I believe that you had a particular scene that baffled you, or at least a particular quote before the riff off.
Yeah, they go down there, and Chloe says, like, it's time to soften the beach.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know what the fuck that means. She says it like it's like a saying, I guess. No one responds to it. It's not really played like a joke. I have no clue what that's supposed to mean. Josh and I used to do a podcast about the television show Gotham, and that would always have, that show has like all of these weird things like that where people will say stuff like safe as milk and sure as eggs, and that's what it felt like to me, where I was like, feels like an idiom from another universe.
Yeah. Time to soften the beach. My next one was that apparently 1 out of 10 women is supposed to be a lesbian.
Oh, that's like a joke that like Rebel Wilson's character makes.
Yeah, there's 10 of us, and one of us must be a lesbian.
Honestly, so many of them give off lesbian energy, and it's fucked up that they were all straight.
Well, Chloe in particular. So Chloe and Becca had that thing
Chloe and Becca.
where like it was implied that they might have a bi connection.
And spoilers, Becca's like lesbian predilection, I guess, gets bigger as the movies go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they do the shower scene, and then, like, right after the shower scene, she, like, runs up to her and leans so far in that was 100% like...
It looked like they were gonna kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then it's, like, completely dropped.
There's a few moments where they're, like...
I mean, it's dropped as far as, like, the plot goes.
Yeah. Yeah, the one character...
She also just seems so much older than all the other characters.
Cynthia Rose was the one that they did the lesbian jokes with, and she's also the one that says they shot my homie.
And she has a gambling addiction. There's like a weird subplot where she's like a high-stakes gambler that I liked, and I kind of wish was more of a running gag in the movie.
But the thing
there was another lesbian, though.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
there was
there
another lesbian. It was one of those girls that was there the whole time, but they were like, not a character. It's like you weren't even here or whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, she's not even one of those girls. She's just another girl.
She was in the group.
Yeah.
There's a couple people in the group that just, like, don't get any characterization.
Yeah, she's one of them.
She's one of them, yeah. She, like... So when Cynthia, like, tells them about the gambling problem, and then says, like, it started when I broke up with my girlfriend, that person next to Rebel Wilson was like, I still love you.
Oh, that's supposed to be your girlfriend?
Apparently. It's very throwaway, and you could easily blink and miss it.
I think I don't watch the movies when I watch them.
Call the Travelmakers. I already said that.
I did think of the thing I thought of earlier.
What was that?
So, like, Magic Boy.
Yes.
He auditions. There was, like, 3 or 4 dudes that auditioned for the Travelmakers in that thing.
Right.
And they bring in main character guy and...
Jesse.
The other guy that, like, sang super off-key and weird.
Had a fedora.
Hat guy.
But, like, Magic Guy sings good.
Yeah, I guess that's just because he's a nerd, they didn't like him.
Yeah.
I will say...
All he did was come up and sing, though.
He's wearing a terrible outfit in that scene.
Oh, that's true.
He's got a shirt that has printed on it, like, a blue striped tie, but also, like, the top part of, like, the collar and shoulders. But it's printed in, like, a messy, splashy, distressed way. Mm-hmm. And then he's wearing cargo pants tucked into hiking boots that are, like, zip-up hiking boots with no laces.
You never tuck pants into boots.
It's a risky maneuver, and it usually doesn't pay off.
You're right. They were right to not.
Yeah.
To not.
But then they got Hat Guy, who's wearing, like, he's wearing, like, when I say, like, 2010's shitty fedora. You are imagining exactly the hat this guy's wearing. It's the black hat with the little striped band. It's that hat. He's wearing it through the whole movie.
He's also wearing a vest.
Everybody's wearing a vest. There were a couple times when I was like, oh man, this is real 2010s type shit. And then I was like, I had that. The like beatboxing guy is wearing like a gray and green striped cardigan. And I was like, I have that exact cardigan. And there's like another character at one point who's wearing like a striped brown and different brown hoodie. And I was like, I had that exact hoodie.
Alright, just to quickly finish up the point I was making to move on. Is 1 out of 10 women being a lesbian a statistic that I've never heard of? Or like a poor stereotypical thing that is not real, but...
Does it matter?
I just like, it felt weird. Like, where did that come from?
It was just like a dumb joke.
Okay.
I think it was just like a Rebel Wilson riff.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the unicycle?
There's a guy who has a unicycle who's in the Troublemakers. He's just carrying it around. At one point, they sing "Let's Talk About Sex," and he puts it between his legs like it's a dick. It's never no attention is ever called to it, and he doesn't write it, and he doesn't write it in their big finale either. Just like they don't let Magic Boy do any magic.
Somehow I didn't notice a unicycle even a little.
I always notice a unicycle.
That's your tagline.
Yeah, I can catch it from. I can spot a unicycle from 10 miles away.
Another thing that I want to talk about was Joe Latruzio.
Latrulio?
We kind of mentioned earlier him. Like, there's a bit where he's a masochist.
They get into the big fight, and then all of a sudden his bit is that he likes getting hit.
Yeah,
I already brought it up as a thing that I thought was funny.
yeah. It's a weird bit.
He's got a great shitty beard in that scene.
He does. And then regionals, we see 3 songs, and there's 3 places.
Yeah, it's like they were announcing the first, second, and third, and I was like, "Ooh, do you think it's going to be the 3 acts that we saw?"
Yeah, and like at least like with the internationals, we see some opening acts that like we don't see the whole thing, but we see them. But then the internationals also has 2 teams from the same university, also from this movie.
That's what I'm saying. They should have been the a cappella school, and then it would have made sense that they had 2 teams in the finals.
It's very weird they have 2 teams in the final, especially because it's internationals.
They should have made the Troublemakers from, like, the school across the lake or something, and then had him be from the other school, and they meet at, like, a mixer.
Yeah, that would also explain, or at least make it seem better that there's that rule that you can't have sex with the Troublemakers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all my baffling moments. Anyone else have any?
I think you covered them all, pretty
Funny?
much.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we did talk a lot about them beforehand. So, I'm going to hop out of the bath and...
It's never what we've called it, but okay.
I mean, that's pretty good.
But yeah, that's good.
And I guess we're going to talk about essentials.
Okay, guy, I don't know. I have no clue. Here's what my thing for music, a cappella singing. That seems like a premise of the movie.
It's that. It's obviously Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, I think she's... I said she should be like the Jim's dad of this movie, referencing American Pie. I feel like she's got... Even if she's not a main character, she's got to show up and drop a couple funny lines. Because she's clearly the breakout character.
So it's those 2 things. It's the commentators and...
Oh, the commentators for sure.
And spoilers for the other movies. It's also the Riff Off.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll put the riff off. I think...
Also, the Riff Off is good. It's like, that should be a thing.
Yeah. That's like, it's like I always have to have, like, the street race in Fast and Furious. Which is another thing that, like, I could see these movies taking a cue from the Fast and Furious movies. Not, like, getting super crazy and having them fight terrorists, but, like, building... Like, the Fast and Furious movies save themselves by deciding that a major theme is, like, the relationships between the characters and family. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to keep the same cast, I could see this movie taking that and being like, this is really about the Bellas, like, being together. I could also see this movie just, like, completely abandoning the cast and being like, Pitch Perfect 2, here's a new team of a cappella people, they've got a slightly different conflict, and then we go from there.
Yeah.
I know that's not what happens, because I know that the cast maintains.
Most of them. They have to introduce some new ones. But yeah, they could just have everybody leave besides Fat Amy, I guess. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like when we were talking about it, I was like...
not even Anna Kendrick?
I don't think Anna Kendrick is essential.
She's not essential. I mean, she is.
Have
you seen her?
Yeah, I've seen her. I also share your thirst for her.
But, like, I could see, like I said, I would be totally down for, like, Fat Amy becomes one of the commentators, and she's just, in a couple scenes to give some comedy.
Yeah.
In 2 Pitch, 2 Perfect.
So what I wanted to say...
They should have called it that.
They really should have. What I want to say is we kind of hit a good note earlier in our conversation where we compared this to a sports movie.
Yeah, this is the one time where it actually is secretly a baseball movie.
So when we're talking about essentials... I mean, maybe you should follow, like, a sports movie essentials list and do things like, team gatherings, team dissolutions, competition, etc.
So, like, gathering the team, the rivals.
Gathering a team, training montage.
Yeah. Some kind of rival team.
Rival. Training montage.
They
have in this movie, but it's not...
Because then you're just making the same movie again, right?
Yeah.
But the whole point is to make a movie that is a Pitch Perfect movie.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to make the same movie again.
So you don't think that those things are essential?
No, I think it's the things you said earlier.
I think competition could be essential, and then we can play with the structure. It doesn't always have to be structured like this. And there are sports movies that don't always follow the same structure. There's stuff where it's less about, like, the individual competition. It's more about, like, it's like Rudy. It's like about the one character.
Sure.
Like, they don't need to gather the team again in Pitch Perfect 2 if it's about the same team.
It's true.
Fair. But then we did talk about potentially having new teams.
But it's also, they don't have to get, even if it's not about the same team, even though I know it is, you don't have to gather a team if your movie is like The Natural, where it's like, this guy's coming in.
Right. But if we're doing a Pitch Perfect 4, which is what we're going to lead up to in this podcast, which are pitch for the perfect movie, do we want to have a gathering the team moment, or...
We can have it without putting it on the essentials list.
Got it. Okay. Rivals, competitions, anything else sports related that needs to be an essential?
Football.
Yeah, they should have a football, even though that's not really in the
team disillusionment, like the point where they break up.
I don't think that's essential. I mean, that's like a clear like plot structure thing, but I don't necessarily think that's essential.
Okay.
Unless there's like a big moment like that in the next movie, and then we will decide that in the next episode.
I mean, I guess competition leading up to big finale.
Definitely need a big finale, big musical number finale.
Obviously.
What else?
I think that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else.
Sonny?
I already gave my list.
Yeah, I think we're good.
So to go over the top, we got acapella singing, which is kind of like our hat and vest.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what the movie is about. Well, I guess the movie's not really about hat and vest, but yeah.
It's like...
That's never going to move. That's there. We're never going to be like, no, maybe it doesn't need that. What if Pitch Perfect's about stealing cars?
Maybe mashups?
Ooh, mashups, yeah.
That was like
that
this movie's like big aesthetic hook was like, we like mashups. She comes in hot with like making a mashup on like fake Ableton on her laptop.
Right. And I mean, that sets it apart from things like Glee.
Glee does mashups too. That's
Glee
a big thing of Glee.
Glee does a lot of mashups.
That's why I was like, is this pre or
Glee
post?
just covers.
No. They do, no, it's the same thing.
They do mashups. They have original Glee songs.
Blech.
Can you imagine you meet a person, you're talking to them, and they tell you that their favorite song is an original Glee song?
Well, to be fair, they did write the beautiful, beautiful My Cup.
Okay.
Oh, there's more
my
cups?
Cup, saying what's up to my cup, my cup.
Alright, so the essential is Anna Kendrick does the My Cups with her cup. No, okay.
What if the cup's a character in our movie? He, like, talks. It's like, hey
guys, it's me,
the wish you made when you sang your song brought me to life. Is that good?
We're not doing Ted, but with a cup.
No, okay, sure, fine. Crush my dreams.
Starting on top. Acapella singing, Rebel Wilson's Fat Amy, Riff Off, commentators, rivals, competitions leading up to the big finale, and then mashups. Does that sound essential?
Good. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody feels happy about that.
I mean, I'm sure the list might evolve or mutate a bit.
The list has to evolve or mutate, or else our podcast doesn't work.
Yeah, otherwise our setup would be awful. Okay. This is normally where I would move on to things like quote, quote, or side character shout-out, but I don't have anything for those.
We also pretty much did a bunch of those in the body of the episode.
We might start phasing those out. But is there anything else that you want to discuss that we haven't already discussed about Pitch Perfect? The first movie, not the podcast.
No, I'm very excited to not be doing 90s comedies anymore. This was like a huge breath of fresh air. I had a lot of fun watching this movie with the two of you. I'm excited to see what the fuck the second one is, because we were getting to the end of this movie and I was like, we have to pitch a fourth one, and I don't even have any idea what the second one is. Like, I don't really know what you do for a sequel to this movie. If it's not the thing I said where you throw out the cast and it's just another a cappella group. So...
Honestly, I think they just do the first movie again, but slightly gayer.
I mean, that sounds good to me. I'm into that.
Should be way gayer.
Oh, maybe. Well, ours will be. We'll promise to make ours as gay as possible when we pitch our fourth one.
I would add that to the essentials list.
Do you want to? Well, yeah, this is gonna be a thing we keep in mind.
Yeah, I think that's a thing to shoot.
It's like we didn't put
I'm
funny down on our earnest essentials, but we kept that in our mind.
We'll have gay elements of it, sure. Okay, well, I mean, if that's it, a huge thank you and shout out to Sonny for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. Hope you'll come back for other things, and if not, we understand.
Yeah, I'll probably never see you again.
This is goodbye. This is the end of our decades-long friendship with Sonny.
And we appreciate our listeners. Thank you for joining in. We'll next episode we're gonna do Pitch Perfect 2. Mm-hmm. 2 Pitch 2 Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, the new batch.
Should have been. Oh, Pitch Perfect, the Battle of the Five Armies. Pitch Perfect 2.
So ours is gonna be Pitch Perfect Revelations.
Resurrections. And now, listeners, you may ask, well, what does that second turtle from earlier stand on? And to that, the little old lady would definitely answer, it's no use, Mr. James. It's turtles all the way down. Pitches!
You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my hair. You're gonna miss me everywhere. Oh, I know you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
What are you going to do when we do our Ninja Turtle season?
I don't fucking know.